Welcome to Company Secrets, the Nutcracker Paradox. I'm your host, Jared Redick. This season, we are diving into the most enduring, profitable, and beloved ballet in the world, the Nutcracker. Every year, millions watch it. But how are today's choreographers and artistic leaders handling its complex history and its future? This is season 2. Let's get started. Today, I'm honored to welcome Helgi Tomasson, the legendary artistic director of San Francisco Ballet for nearly 4 decades, and a leader who helped shape the landscape of American ballet. I was fortunate to start my career at age 19 under his leadership. Born in Reykjavik, Iceland, and discovered as a teenager by Jerome Robbins, Helgi rose from scholarship student to principal dancer at New York City Ballet, where he danced for 15 years. After almost 20 years directing SFB, he created a new Nutcracker that reimagined the ballet through the lens of San Francisco's history, setting it during the 1915 World's Fair. With a career that has shaped generations of dancers, choreographers, and audiences, it's a privilege to sit down with him today. Welcome, Helgi.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
It's a real honor to speak with you after so many years.
It's been a long time. Yeah.
Yes, it has indeed. So you've seen generations of dancers and audiences enjoy the Nutcracker. What's the first thing that comes to mind when you reflect on its place in ballet today?
Well, I think it's a great introduction to ballet for young people, or for adults for that matter. It is a delightful story, great music. It's approachable. It's nice to be in the theater and see what happens with that story and Clara and Nutcracker. I love to see the faces of the young people in the audience when they see the curtain go up and they are all excited. And it gives me a very warm feeling about seeing that. It's magical.
I love the idea of how approachable it is. I mean, because we know that this is such a holiday tradition. We see all the young children that come year in, year out, and then, of course, grow up with their own families and bring their children.
Well, absolutely, yes. I meet people in the audience in the intermissions. I brought my children here, and now I'm bringing my grandchildren. So it has become a real tradition of taking the children and the family to the Nutcracker in San Francisco.
Absolutely. And it's such a beautiful, beautiful version. For those who haven't been able to see it, I think you can still find it online somewhere. So if you're not able to get to San Francisco, you can see it that way as well. You've choreographed many of the story ballets from the ballet canon. Why do you think the Nutcracker has endured for over a century?
I think it's so family-oriented.
Mm-hmm.
You know, in my production, it not only has the children, it has the mother and father, it has the grandfather and the grandmother. So it's sort of multi-generation. It shows what happens in the first act. And I think it's a delightful story for the holidays. It sort of kicks off the holiday season here in San Francisco when we open, which we just did last Friday. And I think it's, like I say, it's become a tradition in this city to go to the Nutcracker.
Yeah, and that's so wonderful that it's part of the cultural fabric of San Francisco and such a vibrant city at that, for sure. So when you were thinking about doing a new production of the Nutcracker many years ago now, obviously, what led you to reimagine your production at the turn of the century in 1915, basically?
When I first arrived here in 1985, Lou Christensen had already planned a new production of Nutcracker with a different designer. And in second act in the divertissements, he had wanted to change a lot of that. So Lou had passed away just before that could take place, but he left me to fill in the gap of what his designer had designed, for some of the divertissements. So that's how it started. I had to fix those things. And then later on, we decided maybe it was time to do a new production. And I had just read about the exhibition that took place here in San Francisco, the World Fair. And I thought to myself, I can imagine how that must have been exciting for the people here and the children and everybody to see all those different countries bring their stuff to the San Francisco. And that was prior to television and all that. So I thought, why don't I use that as a starting point? And we have Palace of Fine Arts is a little bit of what's left of that exhibit that took place in San Francisco. So I spoke to my designer, Michael Jurgen and Marty Pakladinas, and I said, this is what I would like to do, and how can we incorporate the city in there? So Michael thought it would be a great idea to use the architecture of the what we call the old ladies, painted ladies in San Francisco, the Victorian houses, and use the second act as from the Golden Gate Park. And, we have a beautiful glass enclosed thing with flowers and from all over the world. And I thought, why don't we set that as the scenic element for the second act? So that's how it started. And I thought, they were all for the idea that I came up with to place it in San Francisco, because I checked with scholars and I said, yes, traditionally it's been set in Germany or in Central Europe. Is there a reason for that? Do we have to do that? Why can't we move it somewhere else? And there didn't seem to be any objection to that, and say, no, why not? It's a story that's universal and it could be happening anywhere. So I thought San Francisco was so well suited to have their own Nutcracker, scenic-wise.
Because you think about San Francisco and all that beautiful architecture in the city. And I love the point of departure of thinking about it, from thinking about the World's Fair at that moment in time, pre-television, pre-internet, clearly. But what would the energy in the city feel like, which is very much the energy that we feel around the holidays, Christmas time in particular?
Well, I just felt that this was the right thing to do. And then, like you say, there's a lot of energy around holidays in this city.
Mm-hmm.
And I just thought, let's do it. And everybody was on board with that. And that's how it started.
That's a great story about the origin story of San Francisco Ballet's Nutcracker. Thinking about when you were in the process of actually building the thing, what was the most challenging production element during that time?
There were many, of course. Scenically, the first act is big, has a big staircase, and when we have a big staircase on stage, does that limit the dance space. So you have to make sure that you have enough dance space. And I think the transition into the snow scene was very challenging. And I tried to explain to them what I wanted and how I wanted to reveal that. It should just come out of nowhere, almost like a shutter in a camera. When you think of that, it opens up and all of a sudden it reveals the snow sled and snow queen and king on that sled coming in. So we had to get that up quickly. We had to get the legs down with the snowflakes, quickly into the space. And I wanted a big snow scene. Having grown up in Iceland as a child, I remembered how that could be. And, they showed me something else. Oh, that's not enough. I said, you have to do more. And more than that? Yeah, much more than that. And I just no, they're not enough. Keep going. And we ended up with a fantastic snow scene that people absolutely love it. That was challenging because after every show, they have to sweep it up and clean it and make sure that it's all ready for the next show in the evening. So,
yeah. I mean, it's always the thing with the snow scene. You see the crew, they're sweeping it up, they're running it through, they're sifting it, making sure there's no hairpins or all kinds of random things that end up on the stage, on the deck during performance. I chatted with Misa Kuranaga the other day, and she said that your grandpa is, quote, the hardest pa on earth. And so for those who know Misa, first of all, she's a beautiful artist, but she's basically a ballet machine. She's just amazing in every way. So I'd love to hear your reaction to that.
Well, I didn't realize that because she makes it look so easy.
Yeah, right?
I didn't think, as a choreographer and former dancer, I didn't think it was that difficult. Yes, I always challenged my dancers. I always felt, give them something to work up to. And I think that would make you a better dancer, and then don't make it always easy. So maybe it has some elements of difficulty, but I didn't think that they all seem to dance it so well. And so, it looks like effortless. So I was not aware that this was the hardest part.
I was surprised because then I'm messaging her. I'm like, well, Misa, what's it equivalent to? She's like, there is nothing. There is nothing. It's like not White Swan, not Black Swan. I was like, no, this is the hardest one. So she said, basically, it's about stamina for her.
Yeah, I think that could be part of it. But I would think even Sugar Plum is more difficult stamina-wise when I think of that as part of the production.
Yeah.
But I'm surprised to hear that. She never said that to me. No one ever complained to me that this is too hard, I can't do it.
Oh, of course not. Who's going to say that? But it's just funny hearing that from Misa of all people, because, of course, she's just going to do it. More than 1/3 of San Francisco identifies as Asian. You brought traditional Chinese culture to your production with the Chinese dragon in the Chinese dance. Can you talk about the creative thinking behind that choice?
Yeah. What it had been before I didn't like was Chinese was depicted as was sort of with a coolie and a hat and the fingers going at. And I said, no, that doesn't look right to me. We can't do that. So it was Marty that said, why don't we have a Chinese dragon? And I said, well, that sounds wonderful. But in San Francisco, we celebrate the Chinese New Year here every year with incredible Chinese dragons that dance on the streets, and they're fantastic. And he said, well, I would have to make it different. So why don't the Chinese dancer that has Chinese costume on, and he is being chased by the dragon, and he managed to get away. So we didn't want this sort of, which we have seen in a lot of production, and I didn't like it at all.
I actually danced that version you're talking about, the previous version, when I was in the company there. I know exactly what you're talking about, and I had Phil Chan on the other day, and we talked about the harmful stereotypes that have been a part of, traditionally, so many Nutcrackers.
Yeah, and I wanted to get away from that.
And that's just a fabulous choice. I'd love to see it live. I have not had the privilege of seeing your production live with the company.
Well, I think it's worth coming out here and seeing it.
I have no doubt. Finishing us off now, our last question for today is, at this point in your career, what is your relationship to the Nutcracker?
It's very dear to my heart. I danced it in New York City Ballet when I was a principal dancer there. And of course, I didn't want to make a copy of that production. But when I first came here in 85, I spoke to Lou's widow, Gisela. And she told me how it came about that this was the first production in a full-length production of Nutcracker in this country. And the reason was that she said that one year Balanchine came here and Danilova, they had been dancing, and they knew Lou because Lou had been a dancer. So they got together for dinner and they started talking, and Balanchine started talking about Nutcracker. In Russia, we did this, and there was that. There was a Chinese, there was a French, there was a Russian. So the Christensen brothers sort of got the idea, well, why can't we do that here in this country? So this is why there's a similarity between the New York City Ballet and the San Francisco Ballet version, because they basically come from the same source. But the choreography is totally different, and the costumes are different. And I think when I did this production, I truly enjoyed working on it with Marty and Michael, because a lot of the things in the second act are my ideas that they accepted very readily. And I just thought it was a total collaboration. And I think, to me, maybe it was the child in me that sort of enjoyed this. And I had started out my dancing career as a 15-year-old in Copenhagen in the Tivoli Gardens at a theater called the Pantomime Theater, which danced for 4 summers in a row. It's only in the summer it works. And a lot of the things that they did for scenic elements and how people come and disappear, and he comes out of the box and before it looks like it's empty, like the Nutcracker dancing doll. All those things was idea that I remember from the Pantomime Theater in Copenhagen. So why can't I incorporate some of that for this production? So it was a true love of working on this Nutcracker with both Michael and Marty. And James did a fantastic lighting, James Engel. So we were all on the same page, and we accepted each other's ideas and what we wanted to do and what would look good. And so it means a lot to me, this production.
Sounds like such a wonderful collaborative project that you did with these amazing artists. And of course, you're supported underneath just gorgeous Tchaikovsky score. So,
well, that's it. You never get tired of listening to the music.
Even after all these years of listening to it and, being a part of the production in one way, shape, or form.
I mean, in the beginning, the first few years, I would say I saw at least 95% of the performances, so you would think by now I can't stand that music, but I do. I love it.
It is fantastic. It is glorious music. It's very easy to get lost in it. As you're saying, we hear it all the time. You go shopping and you hear it there, but there's nothing like hearing that music and that score with a live orchestra as well.
I absolutely agree. I agree. It just, everything comes to life.
So, yeah, and you have the complexities of hearing the different instruments and the different tempos, because it's going to be slightly different every single show.
Sure.
So
absolutely. And that's what makes it interesting.
Exactly. Live theater. We need more of it. We need more, especially in our day and age of too many screens. Anyhow, Helgi, I want to sincerely thank you for taking the time to come on today and just share a little bit about Nutcracker and just reconnect. It's been a real privilege to talk with you today.
Well, it's been nice talking to you, and it's been a long time since I've seen you.
Yeah, it's been a minute. I think you came to Boston years ago at the very beginning when Nico first took over. I think you came one show.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. It's been a while. Well,
it's been great talking to you, and wish you happy holidays. And thanks for having me on here.
Happy holidays to you and your family as well. Thank you so much, Helgi.
Thank you, Darren. Thank you.
If you liked our conversation here today, you can follow Company Secrets Podcast on all platforms and on our website, companysecretspodcast.com. Thank you for listening, because the stage is only part of the story.